And the paper says that if you have one child, you can get over $7,000 in a refund. And if you have up to 3 children, you can get over $14,000.
They identified that we're doing this. They figured it out.
If you're a struggling parent or a senior citizen who needs some financial help from your government, too bad, you're not getting much. However, if by chance you're an illegal immigrant and have kids, it's your lucky day because you can get up to $14,000 in tax refunds in the great state of New York. At least that's what this reporter from Frontlines was told by employees of Jackson Hewitt, which, for your information, is the second largest tax preparation service in the U.S.
On the migrant crisis, and as we were walking around, we saw a Jackson Hewitt table out here with an employee who was handing out this flyer. Now, what this flyer says is, working or not, file your taxes and we can get the maximum refund for your family. And the paper says that if you have one child, you can get over $7,000 in a refund. And if you have up to 3 children, you can get over $14,000.
There's stuff like this, like at all the shelters and stuff. But like our company, this is why we try to help people by, providing them with refunds,
So you guys are trying to help the migrants with their taxes then,
Yes.
to help them get refunds, help them get some money back.
And yeah, they're giving away these forms at all the shelters. Look, folks, the governor of New York has made some rather big statements about helping the people of her state. At one point, she even proposed sending $500 to $1,000 checks to more than 8.6 million recipients. But those are just proposals. The reality is we're living in a country where seniors are forced to work because their Social Security checks are just not enough.
Eaton Park is probably in her 70s. I'm here with my son, and she can hardly walk. And we heard her tell the table next to us, because they asked why she was still working, that she only makes $910 a month on Social Security, and she has to still work because her bills exceed $910 a month. Any proceeds I get from this video and the TikTok Creator Rewards program, I will come back and give to her. I have $40 in my purse, so that's what I'm going to leave her for a tip.
Seriously, folks, looking at clips like this one makes me agree with the guy who became viral for proposing a different kind of Social Security plan.
You mean to tell me that we're the wealthiest country on the planet and you cannot lower the retirement age to 55 years old? And once somebody turns 55, you just give them a one-time buyout, payout for all the money the government has taken out of our checks from every employer we've worked for, and you give us one lump payment, and we have that for our Social Security. You don't give us month-to-month payments after we're 65 and get that tax. Okay, the amount of money that DOJ has found, trillions of dollars of, this corrupt spending, and the amount of money that they spend on these campaigns to be elected every single year by their donors.
I mean, he's not wrong. Even our lawmakers agree that one-time payments are way more beneficial than the current system, which just doesn't pay people enough. But unfortunately, we're stuck with a system where people are forced to work long after they should be retired. And instead of helping them and other tax-paying citizens, we're apparently giving away thousands of dollars to people who entered the country illegally. Someone, please tell me how that's legal, because I just can't get my head around it. And that's the kind of madness we're dealing with today. I recently told you how Donald Trump is starting a war against George Soros by taking away taxpayer money from his media assets. Well, it looks like Soros is fighting back, and he's fighting dirty. I'm sure you've seen those nut jobs vandalizing Tesla vehicles. Well, apparently people like Tim Waltz aren't the only ones condoning this kind of criminal activity. Now there are anti-Elon rallies where you can clearly see banners asking people to burn Tesla cars. Now, of course, Pam Bondi has promised to not show any leniency to these arsonists.
Look out, they better cut it out because we are coming after you, and at my direction, there will be no negotiating on these people.
No plea
deals. We are seeking 20 years in prison.
However, not many people are talking about the fact that these protests are funded by organizations. Some protesters even admit they're being paid.
Yeah, I get paid to be out here.
You get paid to be out here?
Yeah.
Amazing. So some pack.
Yeah, you really are getting paid for this?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely. 100% I'm getting paid for this.
And you only have to take one look at most of these rallies to notice that pretty much everyone seems retired and they don't want to talk to the press, which is insane considering you're there to share your message with the world.
And why don't you want me to film? Don't you want to talk about why you're here?
Film all you want to.
Okay.
Just film all you want to.
Okay.
And you know what they say?
Yeah. What do they say?
They say you cannot talk to anybody that is a Trumper.
So if these people are being paid, where's the money coming from? Well, here's where we need to talk about a group called Indivisible.
Groups like Indivisible, particularly, they shut down, they're framing it through the lens of Musk or us. And they are now they are reimbursing protesters.
Yes, they're apparently paying the protesters and they don't even care if people find out.
And actually, you know what? I want to give another shout out to somebody really near and dear to my heart. I don't know them personally, but I've seen their work. Shout out to the special people on the call who are MAGA infiltrators. You heard that right. We have MAGA infiltrators in our midst, y'all, on this public call. They found us. They found us. They found this public call that we advertise and we tell everybody about, and we want a lot of people. They identified that we're doing this. They figured it out. Look, we're a pro-democracy movement. You're welcome. Look, I know a lot of Trump supporters were looking for lower price of eggs and bread, and they got this fascist nut in the White House. You're probably looking for ways to organize too. Welcome. I found out about the MAGA infiltrators because I saw some of the work on this Nazi bot site. It used to be called Twitter. Now it's called X. But the funny thing about these MAGA infiltrators, the clips that they took from this call from last week, you know what they harped on? They're like, oh my gosh, look at these Indivisible folks who are organizing. They harped on that we were recommending that people use Signal because we got a question about how do we feel about text messages? How do we communicate with each other? And they said, they're recommending people use this. What are they hiding? They're telling people to use Signal. Can you imagine? And look, I just want to set the record straight for you MAGAs. Look, we recommend Signal because we don't trust the billionaires who are aligned with the fascist state to actually keep our private communications private. If you trust those billionaires aligned with the fascist state, more power to you. You should keep on texting, keep on using WhatsApp, keep on doing whatever it is you do in your little groups of fellow MAGAs.
And I think by now, some of you have figured out that George Soros is the one bankrolling this group and many others like it. Now, protests are okay, but it's a different thing when something like this turns violent. For instance, did you know that one of these troglodytes pointed a holstered gun at a Tesla while driving? And what about the guy who started a huge fire in Las Vegas when the city was under a serious wildfire alert?
We were able to identify and arrest the suspect involved in this attack. There's a couple social media photos that that have been circulated out there already. The suspect's name is Paul Kim, K-I-M. He's an Asian male adult, and he is 36 years of age.
What if that fire had spread and consumed thousands of acres? I mean, that's exactly what happened in Table Rock, where some teenagers accidentally started a fire that has now become the largest fire in the history of South Carolina.
Due to the negligent act of some hikers that led to the forest fire.
And instead of educating people about this wildfire situation, we are now promoting arson in a country that's already burning down. And in this kind of environment, it becomes clear to me that one side is clearly more violent than the other. Because when people like Bill Gates give millions of dollars to Kamala Harris, mega voters didn't just start destroying computers to show their anger. They just decided to get up and vote. Now, I'll end this video by sharing a very concerning story. Did you know that the European Union just alerted its hundreds of millions of residents to stockpile food and other supplies for an emergency?
The European Commission is calling on people across the EU to have enough food, water and essentials to last at least 72 hours in case of an emergency.
Prepare for war and disaster. That's the message, although Brussels may not want to be seen as alarmist.
It's Ajalabi. Welcome to What's in My Bag Survival Edition. First up, my glasses. Super important if you want to see what is happening or not. Next, my document in waterproof pouch. A must in a rainy Brussels. Now, let's talk about lighting. I have a flashlight. If you don't forget the matches and, of course, the light. And water, of course, because water is life.
I don't know what they're preparing for, but something tells me President Trump's latest tweet might be connected to it.
Americans and Greenlanders stood as sentinels at the top of the world. But today, Greenland faces new threats from Russian aggression and Chinese expansion. Our shared legacy lives on in every joint mission, every Arctic patrol, every partnership forged in the shadow of melting ice and rising tensions. This is not just history. It is destiny.
As you can see, Donald Trump is pretty damn serious about Greenland. Even the Russian president has admitted it, and he has even given the U.S. a free hand to make Greenland its 51st state.
По присоединению Гренландии. Но, знаете, это только на первый взгляд может кого-то удивить. И глубоко ошибочно полагать, что это какие-то экстравагантные разговоры новой американской администрации. Ничего подобного.
And we all know European leaders aren't too happy about it.
Jeg har jo sagt flere gange siden 7. januar, at jeg og vi tager den her situation meget alvorligt. Præsident Trump er seriøs, og han er alvorlig. Han ønsker Grønland. Og derfor kan det ikke ses uafhængigt af noget som helst andet. Og derfor er det selvfølgelig, ligegyldigt hvordan vi vender og drejer det, et helt uacceptabelt pres, både på Grønland og de grønlandske politikere og den grønlandske befolkning, men det er det også på Danmark og dermed hele kongeriget.
So this situation can get messy, and that's why the instructions to stockpile supplies are pretty ominous indeed. Let me know what you think about this situation in New York. Also, should people be holding banners about burning down cars in any protest? Share your thoughts with everyone in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you on the next one.